So, The Rise of Skywalker has been out for around a week or so, and some people have been getting pretty upset over this piece of dialogue that is said at the end of the movie. So, this is your spoiler warning for episode 9 if you have not seen it already. Now, personally, I don't understand why people have gotten so mad at this. I think people are just looking for things to be upset about with this movie. But it makes perfect sense to me, and there's a couple reasons why that I am going to be going over in this video. But let's go into it. So right after the Resistance has their little celebration towards the end, we get what I assume is a time jump to Tatooine. Now we get some really cool cinematic shots of it, and then it actually cuts to Rey on this planet, and she's actually at the same location that Luke Skywalker grew up on, which is called the Lars Homestead, I believe. And this place is completely empty, and she eventually takes Anakin and Leia's lightsaber, wraps them up in that cloth, and buries them underneath the sand. I think it was a really great scene. It could be a very nice setup for another trilogy, but that's just me speculating. And after we see this, we see an older person walk by, and she actually asks who Rey is, eventually asking for her last name. And this is when Rey looks out to the horizon to see Luke and Leia's Force ghosts walking towards her, only for the response of Rey Skywalker. Now, I've seen this movie twice now, and when I first heard this, I admit I was a little confused, but after doing a little bit of thinking, it all came together and made perfect sense to me on why she said that, and here is the reasons why. So after all the Force Ghosts gave their power to Rey to eventually defeat Palpatine, she passes out for a moment, and we're not really sure what's going to happen to her at this point, but this is where Ben Solo gets up out of the pit he was thrown into and quickly runs up to her, picking her up only to find out that she is actually dead. And Ben Solo is constantly looking around for anyone to see if someone could help, maybe some Force Ghosts would help him, but there is no one there. And after realizing that he is completely alone, he puts his hand on Rey and actually gives his life essence to her, which actually works out and makes complete sense because the two are a dyad in the Force, as we see in this movie, which is one of the reasons this ability is actually able to give her life. And Rey does in fact get resurrected by Ben, but due to him giving all of his essence of the Force to her, he unfortunately dies from it, sacrificing himself. Now, I did think that this was a good way for Ben to completely redeem himself, and I always had a feeling that he was going to die in this movie, so I thought a sacrifice was the best way. But Rey is now full of Skywalker life in her because of the sacrifice, so it makes complete sense for her to call herself a Skywalker. I mean, she came back to life because of Skywalker Force Essence, which is now what's keeping her alive, and I just think it's ridiculous how mad people are getting over this one line that Rey says. Not to mention, the only family she has truly known are the Skywalkers. Now, while Luke did not want to train her because of the dark side he saw in her and what happened with Kylo Ren and all of his students, he comes back at the end of The Last Jedi to save the good once again. And in episode 9, he does explain how wrong he was because of the fear he had. And I love how Rey was going to do the same thing Luke did, and she actually crashed her ship on Ahch-To after that battle with Kylo Ren. And right after she throws her lightsaber into the fire of the ship, Luke's Force Ghost comes out and catches it and explains to her what she needs to do. I thought it was a really great scene, and honestly probably one of my favorite in all of Star Wars. And one more thing that I did notice is Leia did in fact become Rey's master. We learned in a flashback scene that Luke had actually trained his sister a lot up until she saw a vision of Ben Solo turning and killing all of Luke's students, which did of course happen eventually. But Leia decided to train Rey and teach her everything that she knew, and we even hear Rey call Leia her master at the beginning of the movie, which is a nice touch. So yeah, like I said, I just think it's ridiculous how mad people are getting over this line, because to me it makes complete sense because of those reasons, and I believe it's just something that people are looking to complain about, because we see that all the time when it comes to this sequel trilogy. I mean, people did the same with the prequel trilogy back in those times when it first released. People would complain about every single frame of every single movie, and unfortunately the same are happening to the sequel trilogy. But I do know, in fact, say 15 years from now, everyone's gonna love the sequel trilogy because the same is happening with the prequels now, and I guess that's just the way that these Star Wars movies are going to go. But as always, these are just my opinions on things, so go ahead and let me know down below. Did you guys like the line? Did you not like the line? Did I change your mind about it if you didn't? Or do you still not like it at all? Just go ahead and let me know down below. But that's pretty much going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, be sure and leave a like. It really helps out the channel a lot. And if you're new, subscribe for more Star Wars news, gameplay, and more. And I'll hopefully see you in the next one.